How's it going? I wanted to kind of touch on something I was talking about today with somebody where they were stressing out about a vocal track they were recording. We've all been there where we're trying to somehow recreate something that we may have on a rough mix. What this comes down to is a weird anomaly, a phenomenon that happens when you're very excited about a song. There's like a sweet spot. There's like a little period of time where you're so amped up about it and you just wrote it and you're deep in the emotion of the song as the songwriter, the vocalist, whatever. When you are new to it and it becomes a part of you early, in the beginning stages, there's this sweet spot. Not unlike many things in life. Once you're in that zone, that's the best time to record the vocal. I've heard a lot of different producers talk about this, especially, one of the guys I look up to, Warren, mentions this a lot, but it's so critical to note that I can't tell you how many times, like, the first rough vocal I've done was the best vocal track for a song. And when people record and they're not expecting to be recorded, it's like you don't know the camera's on. You're often more natural. You're more yourself. As soon as you're aware of it, the same camera, video, audio, it's the same thing. The same way you can envision being shy or nervous in front of a camera or something. It's the same thing when you're aware of the mic. It's like if you have this weird element of, a whimsicalness to your performance where you think it's going to be lost in the ethos forever, so you're more free, you're more willing to try whatever. In that circumstance, magic can happen. And that's why a rough vocal, never delete it, never throw away anything. I'm a firm believer of that's the best part about digital, is we don't have to bounce. When I started recording, I started on a 4-track, a Yamaha MD4. It was a mini disc 4-track. I still have it. So I may actually bring it on the camera and you guys can check it out, but that'll be another video. But the idea here is a 4-track allows you a freedom too, because you have to commit and you can't second guess yourself, and you gotta really know what you're doing every step of the way because you have to bounce. In other words, you keep having to take your 3 things you recorded and bounce it to a 4th track, and having 3 tracks left. And then if I had like a lead vocal, I'd leave that so I could manipulate the volume till the very end. You only have 2 tracks left. You could record something, layer it, bounce it, layer it. Like, literally, this is how you lived. What a nightmare compared to this. Crazy. Okay. So you could do everything. You hide the tracks after you're done recording them, but just go up to the menu at the top left, this thing. If you're not familiar with it, at the top left is track menu. I've shown this before, but hide all tracks, hide selected, and hide. These are your friends over here. Use these things, all right? Like all these tracks I have inactive, if I go to hide selected, it's going to take everything I just had selected and disappear. That's good. Or maybe it's not good if you don't want it, but you know what I'm saying? It's good for me. Keeps my head cleaner when I need it cleaner. And I like that. But you don't have to delete the tracks. They're still there, but look at how clean your session gets. Do stuff like that. But that lead vocal, put a lot of time and effort into messing with the rough performance. And I have a feeling you'll get a better result than if you stress out about making the performance perfect on the lead. You can do it that way. I know a lot of people who do a rough and then they just copy it, and that's fine. If you can emulate your intention and your enthusiasm and the way you're basically acting when you're singing, people have to believe you. If they don't believe you, you're never going to get the point across. So no one's going to feel anything from the song. If you want to move them, they need to feel what you're saying, which means the emotion's there. It's in what you're saying. It's in how you're saying it. That emotion, some people can't generate on a constant basis whenever they want. They can't just conjure it. Other people can. That's the definition of a good actor. And that acting right there, it comes through in singing. So if you are the type of person who can do that, then that's great. And if you're not, use this to your advantage. Always have that rough mic. Always use a mic that you can use in a rough situation. In other words, if you're the type of person who records with like a live band, or if you like to record in the control room, you know, don't have a dynamic mic and something that's not going to pick up the world. So you can actually maybe salvage that rough. All right. Song 2 by Blur, that's a rough vocal that was in the control room that they did some stuff to try to get rid of the background noise. But I'm pretty sure he's sitting there in the control room listening to the monitors tracking that song. And that's why it has like a cool vibe to it. The vocal sounds awesome, but it's also not like the clearest thing you've ever heard in your life. It's kind of muffled a little, you know? It's kind of hard to hear certain things. It creates interest, you know, but it's interesting. It's good. Listen to it. It's amazing. But there's a lot of guys who do stuff like that. Those vocals wind up being kept. All right? Keep this stuff in mind. If anybody knows any other artists who've used roughs, you know, and if you guys like to do that or have done it, throw it in there. This same thing applies to guitar. You know, put it in the comments. Let's talk about it. But the same thing applies to guitar solos. If you're playing a guitar solo, I can't tell you how many times my first one was the best one. It's like, what are we talking about? It's the same thing because you're just fresh. It's like an athlete responding on the spot to a ball being hit to him. It's how he moves and reacts and whatever is what makes him a great athlete. Well, it's the same concept. If you overthink it, some people do worse. Some people do better, some people do worse. You got to figure out who you are, all right? I do this with mixing, by the way. I like my first instincts on mixing better than my third, my fourth, and my fifth instinct. I've learned this about myself. So I mix quickly, and by the time I'm done, I'm not trying to look at it tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day. I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to get it done and make myself love it as soon as possible because that's my first instinct. It's not me second guessing myself every other day of the week as I go through thinking, is it done today? Is it not done today? Is it done today? Is it not done? That's not how I roll. The first instinct is the right one for me, okay? Once I start doing that, it gets worse. It doesn't get better. So you got to learn who you are, all right? Everybody's different. Custom Cut Studios. You got this, all right? Take it easy. More stuff to come. Like and subscribe. You'll see more videos like this and some detailed stuff as well. Take it easy.